Welcome to our weekday reflection here at St. Andrew United Church of Christ. It's good to have you here. Last week, we began what we think is an interesting series of looking at some of our UCC firsts, part of our United Church of Christ, UCC history. They're referred to by our denomination as UCC firsts, important things in history that happened first through our own United Church of Christ. Today's first is about the ordination of women. A year never goes by, including this current year, in which I don't come across at least several people who, upon meeting me, say something like, "You're the first woman pastor I've ever met." And there aren't very many women pastors. That's really unusual that you chose to do that. And I've answered questions like that in different ways, depending upon who was asking it and what the situation was. But the question that I enjoy answering perhaps the most, the question that I answer the same every time, is this question. "Oh wow, I'm not used to seeing a woman pastor. How long have there been women pastors?" To which I look the person into the eyes and smile and say, "Since 1853. 1853. It's not new. My graduating class in seminary was 60% women, and that was 30 years ago. It's not new." The stole, one of the symbols of ordination, this one was a gift from my grandmother when I got ordained. It's dated looking. It looks plain up here. The symbols are down below. We finally realized later on to put some symbols up here. Of course, it's still meaningful because it came from my grandmother, who has been passed away for quite a number of years now. But it looks dated because it was 30 years ago. 30 years is a long time. It's a long time to still have people surprised to meet a woman pastor. We go back to 1853. Antoinette Brown was the first woman to be ordained, the first woman in ministry since New Testament times, and perhaps the first woman in history elected to serve a Christian congregation as pastor. She was a part of the Congregational Church, which would later merge with other churches to become the United Church of Christ. So the Reverend Antoinette Brown is part of our history. She's one of our firsts, and I am thankful for her. It can make us proud to know that our denomination, at least the roots of our denomination, ordained women so long ago, and that they recognize the incredible significance of the women in the Bible who served alongside with Jesus and alongside with Paul and the other people in the early church. Women were clearly in ministry in biblical times, long before 1853. But it's good to celebrate the first ordination that took place in 1853. It's also good to remember that it's not all good news, because it's been 168 years since the first woman was ordained, and there are still lots and lots of churches that not only don't allow women to be ministers, there are so many churches that don't allow women to serve on the church board or to collect the offering or to teach Sunday school to men. And before we feel too proud of our United Church of Christ and think it's those other churches that are sexist, you need to know that there are still, in the year 2021, there are still United Church of Christ churches all across our country who don't want to hire a woman pastor. And even in progressive churches like St. Andrew, it's taken much longer than it should have to hire the first woman. I'm happy to be the first woman, but I'm also unhappy that I'm the first woman. I wish it had happened a long time ago. And yet, even though it's really hard to believe that for my 30 years of ministry, I have continued to hear the comments and see the shocked faces when I tell people that I'm a pastor, at the same time, I'm thankful and I'm hopeful that we have Antoinette Brown as part of our history. And I feel such gratitude that all of us, you and me, when we get asked that question, can tell folks, 1853, that's when we started ordaining women. 1853.
Today we sing with thankfulness for those who turned the tide.